Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches. Our guest today is an independent rapper who I discovered on Instagram. At first, it was his visual aesthetic that caught my eye, like little scenes from a music video or a movie. But as I dug deeper, it was his music that I vibed with. So I want to remind y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. So let's jump into it with Nate Rose. All right, Nate, brother, thank you so much.
We're in here, man.
We did it. Thank you.
Here
for
it
coming.
is. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've had the pleasure of chatting for about 30 minutes before we got on here, and we both realized, wait a minute, we might want to shut up and put it here in the pod. So
that's right.
Thank you again for coming out, man. I'm tickled to. I always say tickled, and I remember Bobby Bones. He said at the very end of his podcast, he goes, "Man, it was great to have you." I'm like, "Man, I was tickled to be here." And right as the end of it, he goes, "Well, I was tickled to have you." I don't know why I say that, but anyway, what's been going on with you? What's good?
Oh man, life's kind of crazy, you know.
Baby,
got a son on the way, baby Andros. Yeah, my first child. So October 1st is the due date, and I'm rolling on an album, single by single. Ultra Marathon, and as of yesterday, I decided I'm probably gonna look at making a producer album. So
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, I produce music as well.
Okay.
I just got a new laptop with a whole bunch of new sounds and stuff on it, and whenever I get new sounds, then I get inspired. And so yeah, I'm probably gonna like produce an entire project and get all the homies, you know what I'm saying, put verses on it and hooks on it where it needs to be at, and roll something out. Just kind of the overseer, executive producing, and actually producing the beats on a project. So kind of like DJ Khaled, except I'll be the person like actually beat making as well.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Well, man, I discovered you on Instagram, and I'm just like blown away by. I don't know if this is the right words to use, but your flow, how it just feels. Kind of like I hear all the lyrics and I want to listen to listen to what you're saying rather than it being kind of like just I was saying earlier, a vibe.
Yeah.
You know, your visual aesthetic, of course, I caught on really quick, is outstanding. I feel like all your clips, I'm watching like a snippet from, a really high-end music video. So I would love to get into some of that stuff.
Yeah,
too,
let's do it.
Because I can tell that the visual aesthetic is very important to your brand.
Yeah,
I could imagine that.
100%.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Okay, so you're from Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Not much going on there in the way of rappers.
Nope. We had a few out of Chattanooga. That's close enough, right? Like we can kind of claim Isaiah.
About an hour and a half, hour 40?
No, it's only 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes from Chattanooga, but so it's Chattanooga's got some rappers. I think I'll probably be, the only Cleveland, Tennessee rapper that I don't know. We'll see.
My only experience was, like I said, I did a music video at a carnival rodeo. And
yeah, that's a very Cleveland, Tennessee type of event.
And something happened. Listen to this one, though. Something happened to where we weren't allowed to shoot when the lights went on or something, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But we had to stay the night to shoot a shot the next day. Oh, I think it was the empty carnival thing.
Oh,
so we
okay.
stayed the night there at I think at a Red Roof Inn, a whole crew and whatever it was, and
that's awesome.
Cleveland,
man.
I got it.
So you're planning on moving?
Yes, we're gonna get by land. So what inspired you to get into rapping and music from Cleveland, Tennessee?
Man, I've always been, ambitious. I've always wanted to create stuff, so when I was super young, I was, I would dance or like perform, or, when I was in middle school, I skateboarded a lot. And so I'm like, I got to start a skate team. And I was doing like building ramps and doing demos and making t-shirts and stuff.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, but basically in high school, I started just messing around making music. I was in a couple of bands that ended up failing, but I very quickly fell in love with like creating music. It was very organic how it happened. I just, after messing around with it for a little bit, I would just be at school, just like, I can't wait to get home because I'm trying to make something. And I thought there was something so cool about being able to just have an idea and just create it in real time. It's like painting a canvas. Film, on the other hand, is not like that, because what it requires so much planning and budget in a lot of cases to execute on that front, and it's a long process. So if you have a film idea, all right, it might get made, a year from now or 6 months from now.
That's how I got into photo.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that makes
Because
sense.
I needed something more tangible. I needed something where I can say, Nate, do you want to go create art?
Yeah.
Go make something timeless?
Right
you
now.
and me, right now. And I'm going to come home and I'm going to mess with it, and we can hang that son of a bee on a wall, and it can be legendary now. You know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? What we create. Anyway, back to what you're saying, but I relate to what you're saying, so I'm inspired. Go.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, which I also love film and stuff as well. But, so I fell in love with it. I started taking it seriously very quickly. Like 16 years old, I was fully in. I'm gonna be a rapper, and so I was doing things in high school, like taking pre-orders for T-shirts for my classmates, and then getting them placed and selling merch. And I got business cards made, and I would go to neighboring malls on the weekends at 16, and like I was just trying to get to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hand the cards out and be like, yo, check my music out. I'm a rapper. That led me to going to college for music business. So I got a 4-year degree at MTSU for music business. I'm giving you the whole timeline. After that, graduated, got a job as a social media director, and then ended up moving to Nashville to take a digital marketing position at a company called Assurian, which is like tech insurance company.
Oh, whoa. We don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Was music big in the house though? Was mom and dad? I mean, like, was it going? I mean, my kids hear music every.
Yeah.
I have a montage in my pocket everywhere I go. I'm listening to music.
Yeah, my dad played guitar, and my mom loves music. She doesn't make music, but she always had System of a Down, Metallica.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Does she go back to like Pantera?
I think that's probably. I don't think she likes Pantera.
Too okay.
Yeah.
I love metal.
Yeah. Okay. Me too.
Yeah.
It's in my bones for sure. System of a Down's my favorite band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I find just all of their versatility and Serge's vocal capabilities just seem so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But awesome. Man, grew up around music. My grandpa also very creative, artistic person, does a whole bunch of things, from writing poems to drawing to building, woodworking, leatherwork, all that kind of stuff. So so maybe I got it. Perhaps it's in my genes a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
For sure. Do you feel like you have a process?
What do you mean?
An artist process and how you come about your lyrics and your what comes first? Is it the idea, or do you have a bar in your mind that you
okay.
You know what I mean? How do you go about concepting a song?
Yeah, well, so I usually start producing the beat first, because the feel of the production kind of informs where I need to go with the topic. There have been times where
if you have a topic, do you?
I usually don't start topic first and then make music. I've done that on a couple of occasions. Usually or I might listen to something that inspires me and I go, I want to make something like this.
There you go. That's probably me
and
too.
Yeah, and then I get into that. There's a few different ways to approach it. I think it's really cool though to switch up the approach, because it'll challenge your brain in different ways. And so
very much.
I advocate for that. But usually start with the record. And then what I do is after let's say I produce a beat, and once I start getting vocal ideas, then I just start recording, and I'll do like 6-7 takes just running through the whole beat, just mumbling. And so
for flow
and melody, rhythm and cadence and all that. And why I like to do that is because before we get into the lyrical content of the song, I want to be able to just play. I just want to be able to listen to the beat and see what I can get out of myself.
Sure. Okay.
It's without having to think too technically about what I'm going to say at this point. I just want to give the beat what it deserves in terms of the vocal.
I understand.
And so I'm hunting for that. I'm mining for gold. And then what I do is I take all of these different mumbles and I'll listen back through them and take the pieces that I like, and then I'll start the arrangement process. And once I have more or less a structure of how I want the song to go melody wise, then maybe I say a certain word or something prompts the topic.
Sure.
that's when I kind of go, okay, now what do I want to say on this, and then kind of fill the gaps in there. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's more or less the process.
I like it though. So now, like your visual aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
I can talk your ear off on that. How do you have oh, you were saying you have a partner?
Yes.
Right? Explain your relationship, because I honestly want to talk a lot about your how important you feel the visual art form is to your musical art.
Yeah.
Because I see it in it very clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. So my business partner, David Pearsall, we own a media company. We do a lot of music videos and things like that. So I do directing and stuff as well, and editing.
Sure.
But he's sort of the genius behind the actual visuals. We've been growing together, trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, how to crack the code on elevating artists and brands.
Yeah.
And that comes down to what he does on the visual side with the framing and the camera movement and the color grading and things of that nature. But then on my side, it's also like, okay, what's the presentation? How's the blocking in the frame? How is the artist performance? How is the artist interacting? So we care about the visual art form a lot. I know that there are artists out there that don't care about it as much, but I also enjoy that as an art form. So I'm not willing to compromise that for the things I know are expedient on social media.
Yeah, or just kind of disposable.
Yeah. I want to make, you know, beautiful, engaging art on the visual side as well. So yeah, so David, you know, we just been working towards trying to figure out how we want to present different ideas and support the different songs and singles that I have and the topics. And in addition to some of like the performance video stuff, we've been toying around with sort of almost as if you jumped into the middle of a movie or a short film, and there's like dialogue and we're communicating things, you know what I'm saying, in a way that we help to move people.
I was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a scene out of damn Jason Bourne. It really does. Or
Let's
something.
go.
Like, it's like some kind of like cartel movie or something. It's really
Thank
well
you, man.
done.
Thank you,
it's
bro.
like one shot,
Yeah.
well lit, subtitles. It looks like subtitles, but it's not. It's the lyric. I mean, I don't know. I think I recognize the detail that you're putting in the efforts you're putting in on that.
Well, thank you, man. That means a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's not always reflected in the view counts on the basis of you know, the algorithm and what best serves it. But I'm hoping that, you know what I'm saying, we'll crack the code and people start to get it.
That's funny because I'm working closely with a specific artist right now that we laugh and joke about the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
We have like funny skits that we even have about the algorithm, because it's like, but let's not make it funny. Let's actually discuss it. Because what we talk about is like trying to blend your art, blend what you know is right for your brand, right? So that it fits some superfluous data that you are assuming is accurate to you, and not just some robot just code, you know, and you're sacrificing what you know is true to be like quality of you just to say, I got to get it in.
Yeah. It definitely does put some parameters on how we have to create things. I think you can work within those parameters. Obviously, with short form, you've got to capture people's attention quickly. There has to be something, you know, because if you're just swiping through, whatever the first second of your video looks like, and you know what I'm saying, how it comes into play is huge. So there are certain considerations on that front, which I do think kind of limit the artistic side of it. But at the same time, you know, it's the alternative is no independent marketing channels. And so I kind of, it's like, I'm willing to play the game. YouTube for me is probably like the best of all of them, because you still have people going there willing to engage with long form content. It doesn't have to be like capturing you right in this thing. The thing with the algorithms though is a lot of the social media sites are not super transparent on best practices. You can find them sometimes, but I tend to navigate to the sites, or like Spotify, for example, has an algorithm, but they're pretty transparent on how you can maximize the success of a single release, because they go, okay, like we want to see a lot of saves per listener. We want to see this, we want to see that, and you can build strategies around it. But a lot of these sites are kind of ambiguous about how to utilize their algorithm in order to succeed, you know?
Does that feel like a bunch of noise to you, though? To the artist in you, of like, God, I mean, it's like, it feels like hearing all that data, it constricts my chest to think like, you know, okay, well, I'll put the best shot first instead of building to the purpose.
Yeah.
I'll give the apple away in the first 15 seconds. Can you make it shorter? Can you make it vertical?
Yeah, more cuts, punchier.
More of this. You're like, it's just a highlight reel now, you know, rather than emotive or human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree. Again, those are the parameters on it. I think that that's just the way it is.
Just a necessary evil then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's trade-offs though, because it's like if this is an opportunity for extreme organic growth if you execute properly and something actually pops off. You know, I have tons of friends in music who have blown up, you know, off of social media to the point where they're making, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, $800,000 a quarter. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
I'll go Hawk 2 as well, I guess, you know.
That's an insane amount of money. No, so shout out my friends that they're doing well.
No, there's no it's just there's no hate at all. Zero. It's awesome, but I like the word you said, crack the code, you know, and it's
a puzzle. I
just don't know, but cracking the code mixed with art, it feels like that, you know. So I bet it is. I tend to think of it as kind of like a necessary evil for me. But I haven't really needed to, up until the podcast, I haven't really needed to kind of
like really use it.
And I am enjoying it how I'm doing social media. But once I start to hear data, it doesn't become fun. You're like, well, wait a minute. You're saying that those zeros need to be this because of whatever. Yeah. You know?
Well, you know, I think that it is helpful go ahead.
How about this?
Yeah.
iPhone pictures respond better than professional pictures. The algorithm knows whether it's shot on an iPhone or if it's shot on a DSLR. Let's just leave it at that. And have a discussion. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're saying you take out the professional camera and let's not have the algorithm push it, right? Because it feels too pro.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
Push out the
part of that is definitely on social media too.
I know this is a fact. I know it as a fact as much as I am shooting an entire tour on an iPhone.
Yeah.
All the video on an iPhone to a point. Yeah. I mean, there we are.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, the high quality stuff is, you know, I think partially that is on social media, and I think there's another cultural shift where the youth is, you know, Gen Z is the most like adverse to advertising of like any generation, because there's just so much of it and so much on social media, and it's like so anytime there's a professional quality, I think that's another thing, is it kind of immediately comes off as like I'm being sold to in some ways, because like
the cheaper it is, the more lo-fi it is, then it means that I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so therefore look at me and have pity, like, because he's not going to advance in life and be great.
Perhaps.
I mean, I don't.
Perhaps, yeah.
Where do we not appreciate quality?
Yeah. No. I get it. No, I agree.
I got off tangent, but cool.
Yeah,
that's what it's for. I mean, I don't do a podcast.
No, listen, man. I feel you. I wish the algorithms worked for the exact type of content that I'd like to make. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
I mean,
but you know,
but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Have you ever had a holy shit moment? You know, being on, kind of like in a moment of like making. Have you ever like stolen locations or whatever you've done to kind of like get your shots, your scenes,
yeah.
breaking the rules, getting the right locations?
We've done. We went out. Okay, so a couple moments with the
because your location, your shots are not just medium and close-ups. You know, they're worlds. You know, so anyway, I wanted to kind of clarify that to everyone who's listening.
Yeah, I would say we do a lot of things for the shot. There was during COVID, we were like, all right, well, Broadway will never be empty again, probably. And so we need to go shoot a video down there. So we went and shot a video on Broadway when there were basically nobody there, because I was like, this is going to be a piece of content that will exist forever. That, you know, takes advantage of this.
That is a holy shit moment.
Yeah, yeah. And then like a year after that, it was we had like the big snowstorm in Nashville, and it was like, it was like 10-degree, like probably -5 wind chill, and we were just like, all right, let's go shoot a music video, and we just walked from my apartment in Germantown to the Gulch, like shooting videos and stuff, just freezing, dude. I couldn't feel my feet. You know what I'm saying? So we I've definitely had David in some positions where he's been freezing or working. You know, we're working literally overnight on a shoot to get something right. So, but yeah, we're just kind of committed to doing what's necessary to get the shot and make it happen.
Did you grow up watching music videos at all? MTV? I mean, or is it?
I don't think that was like if I'm reflecting on it, I don't think it was like, when I watched the music videos, like that really changed my idea. I think the real passion started with music video, developed out of a necessity for that. But then I started to realize the value of like the entire brand picture from an art perspective. Like I think it even extends into fashion, you know, like I'm developing more of an interest in fashion and starting to figure out what I like and how to curate and put together fits and stuff. And that's an art form in itself. Yeah. And so I think if you're an artist at heart, that you just get to constantly be in a state of play and work at the same time. Sure. Like the line between those two gets blurred, and it's not just music. It's also visual. It's also performance. It's also, you know what I'm saying, filmmaking or fashion or whatever. So yeah, now I've kind of expanded a lot. It's not just out of necessity to support the music, but I actually enjoy a variety of mediums.
That's cool.
It's fun.
Do you have any interest in, you know, leaving the independent space and joining a major?
If the deal is right, yes. I think everything I've been approached with has been laughable. So I come from a marketing background. I'm big into finance as well, and like I have a music business degree. So I'm not brand new, and I know what the industry standards are, and I know, like, I'm aware of how much I make and where it goes and where it comes from. And so like a lot of the deals I've been approached with recently have been catalog buyouts or catalog licensing deals. And I guess they're just banking on artists that need upfront capital, or like, you know, being presented with $250,000 is like, you know what I mean, shakes you. But it doesn't shake you if you know exactly how much money you're making a year, and you're like, oh, like this is a easy win for them, and they're not on the hook to grow the catalog at all. So this is just me like taking short-term money for a long-term loss with no risk on your end. I'm not interested in that at all. If you want to get serious and partner with me on something and say, hey, we have a plan to grow this, we really believe in your music, I need either enough money or enough kind of resources kind of worked into the contract in order to where the label has to hold their feet to the fire. Because like there's no guarantees. I could get shelved, and like not being independent, I like to be able to move how I can move. So it would have to be the right situation, and I would have to trust them too. I wouldn't jump into a multi-album deal. We'd start with a single.
Yeah, test the waters out.
Yeah.
Is there a collab? If there was any kind of collab with someone right now, who would you want to collab with?
Kendrick Lamar, John Bellion, Joji, Beam. These are my favorite artists. So James Blake.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
You know James Blake? Yeah, James Blake's.
That's cool.
He's dope.
Wow, that's a eclectic bunch.
All very, very high level artists. In my opinion.
How about J. Cole?
I like J. Cole a lot too.
I can see that in your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out J. Cole. Yeah, he's awesome.
What was it that do you have with your label? Would you ever think of like having other artists on it?
Are you talking if I had a label?
Do you have an imprint yourself, right?
I
running your stuff.
I have one called Soundfoil, but as far as like what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of I have put this like indie label thing that I had been working on to the side in lieu of like things that are kind of working more fruitful right now.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, mostly just Nate Rose stuff, and then I'm probably gonna have a different name for some of this beat stuff that I'm gonna be doing over the next year.
Yeah.
Growing a YouTube channel with our video business. So I got my hands in a lot of things, and the way I've set it up is that everything leverages each other. Sure. So that's my litmus test for whether or not I really get into something is if it's going to kind of feed the greater picture and greater vision of where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
So, another like non-art related example of this is past couple of years I've been studying philosophy pretty heavily.
Okay.
And now there's this alignment of what I want to talk about in my music and the level of depth that I can gain from the actual education of learning philosophy. And those are moving in the same direction. So it's like my passion for art, my passion for philosophy are now like completely aligned. And so it like feeds each other. You know what I mean? The more I understand about philosophy, the better depth I can get into with the music, which serves a greater purpose. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Has there been a single of yours that you kind of think, yeah, this is where, the mark is for where I'm wanting to be?
Yes.
Like
the first one I think that I really started to hit where I was trying to go is Level Up.
Okay.
So it's a really kind of aggressive trap song, but with a theme. It's about survivor's guilt. It's about having found success while, I had people in my family who were, dying of cancer and, having all these issues and then simultaneously I'm like winning, and that being confronted with like, what do I do with this feeling? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Is it justified, having these questions about it? And so that's like more like real human stuff put into trap music rather than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that was an example. And then, my recent song that I released, Hug Onto Your Gold, is big for me too. That felt like an accomplishment on my part. 'Cause I reached a level of scale and grandiosity in the song that I had previously felt like I hadn't quite hit. And, in the song topic is all about materialism and love of money.
Sure.
And so
is style, and honing your style important to you as far as your music? Or, you know what I mean? Just like having a specific
sound.
Or is it more just to be eclectic and to be and not to put yourself in a box?
Yeah, it's a little of both. I like a wide variety of music, so I'm not going to pigeonhole the type of music I make. I don't make music for the end listener in mind at all. Like that, I try to protect the sanctity of the art form by just making things that I enjoy. I'm trying to make songs that I wish existed with topics that I wish were talked about, and we figure out how to market it on the back end. You know what I'm saying? And that might have more friction there, but it's Rick Rubin said that.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
it's commerce. Yeah, it is though. I agree with him on that. Where if you compromise the art for the end listener of mine, that's commerce, not art.
Yes.
And so I definitely subscribe to that. But I also value versatility. All my favorite artists can go the full spectrum. You know what I'm saying? John Bellion can have all these different soundscapes. Kendrick Lamar can have all these different soundscapes. And so, yeah, it's a bit of both, because I think that ultimately the curation comes down to my brain, and my brain will go to certain places. So I think the sound will just develop as a result of these natural pathways that I tend to go in, but it's an exploration of sound, and I think whatever my sound will end up being will crystallize in that. But I'm just making stuff that I enjoy and want to make.
What you want to make.
Yeah.
I always get enamored when I'm in the studio with an artist, because it's like, it always feels like
B-pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot I've been in very close quarters with Yellow Wolf during, I've sat in a car with him.
He's a very creative person.
Oh, very, very. One of the most creative I've ever worked with. But I mean, I would be in a car in his car, and he'd be just sitting outside the studio and be like, "Hey, if you don't mind me asking, how do you determine what you're gonna say and how you're gonna say it?" You know, and it was really cool because it was like kind of what you said. He would just be like, you know, he would just work out these, you know, and then it would fit into lines of a song. But I just always love how sounds put together. How do you know when to stop? How do you know when to go? We've hit enough buttons here.
Yeah.
You know? I guess it's also like a painter who knows when to say, "There's enough yellow."
Yeah.
You know?
I think that is really, it comes down to feel. When it feels like it's enough. I don't have a hard rule on that. You know what I mean?
Because there is too much is too much.
Too much is too much. Yeah. If you
overload it, it's just like, I
100%.
don't hear anything. The simplicity is gone. I guess then you can always backtrack it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I was talking about this with my brother. I think there is something to, because there's the essence of a hit. There is a, you know, you can have all the production quality and stuff there, but ultimately in its simplest form, it's how engaging is the melody and the arc of this song. You know what I mean? I can't remember who it was, but there was a quote that I heard back in college, which was basically the litmus test for whether a song is good or not is if it's played on piano and it's still engaging. If it's just piano and a vocal. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you know, if you're able to just, if you stripped everything away and the song still stands as like an engaging piece of art, then you know,
that's good.
You have, but there's something to the essence that you know, that is what we're all kind of hunting for, is like the thing that gives it the it factor.
Sure.
Which is intangible, you know. So you can put lipstick on a pig, as you mentioned earlier. You can do that. You can add a bunch of sounds to distract from the fact that the core of the song is not that good.
Yeah.
You know, but
I test myself all the time when I'm shooting. Like just recently, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot everything. I don't even bring out this lens. You know, it's a 70 to 200. Right?
Okay.
I never bring it out. It's
like
it's like dust. And I brought it out because I'm like, you know, I'm gonna test myself. I'm gonna shoot the entire show on a 2. I'm not even gonna back it off at 200. I'm just gonna crank that thing to 200.
Let's go.
And I'm gonna shoot this son of a.
Just get really far away.
Everything, but it was fun because I was just shooting through things, and man, it really did train my. I loved almost everything, and it's good to have, but it's good to trick your brain. It's good to throw your brain into something. And everybody's making fun of me. They're like, "Oh my God, you know, Sports Illustrated here today."
Yeah.
But like, it just forces you to kind of, and I do it in my directing work all the
challenge
time.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't even do shotless anymore. Because I'm over the fact that the second I wake up, everything's different. Everything's, you know, I mean, it's always shifting. Even though we've done the prep work and all that, I like now being completely instinctual, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the mumble thing, is being instinctual and not overthinking it.
And being too in the pocket and pull, you know, just you've planned it all out, that it just sucks the life out of the work. I mean, that's, you know, and there are parallels. I try to put it on the podcast enough, but where like your world and my world, you know, because you're also a filmmaker at heart, you know, but they're one and the same. Yeah. There's no difference between your art and that of a director or photographer or any other art. It's all the same thing. And that's what I am loving about this podcast, is because no matter if it's a graphic designer, it's
same,
rapper,
same kind of struggles,
stylist. It's kind of like this entrepreneurial spirit in all of us that says, well, we can't go fit into that world of corporate or whatever it is, the man, you know, telling us. It's like, so we kind of find ourselves in this funnel going down this strange current. Yeah. You know,
a very risky current, you know.
That's all I know.
We're willing to get, you know what I mean? I didn't make livable money on music for 8 years. You know, the first time I got $1,000 check for a show. It was a frat show that I played, and this was like 6 or 7 years into trying to make it as an artist. And when I opened the check up, like I just broke down crying because I was like, I didn't realize this entire time I've just been head down going, I'm gonna make it. It's just around the corner. It's just around the corner. And then to open a check and see 4 figures on it for just doing what I love to do, kind of just, it made me realize like, oh, like it was a sigh of relief. You know what I mean? Finally, I have some semblance of
it's there.
Light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
I mean, has it been a road to kind of building your team, building your organization? I mean, every organization, it sounds like a big word. Oh my God, I don't have 400 employees. But I can say that even in my little world, 4. It's 4 people.
Yeah, like core people.
Core people.
Yep.
4. I'm not talking, and I am an organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 4 people that I depend on, that we know each other. But the point is, how long did it take to build that, to find them? And then when they were built, you have the Avengers. Yep. The Avengers are built. Take off your reveal your cape and let's go to work.
Yep.
The best work came with finding that team.
Yeah.
And building the team. Do you have that kind? I mean, you have it with your well.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? My wife is
good point.
My wife is a major part of that team. She's just the best. And then David, of course. I mean, these are all of my core friends, are friends I've been friends with for over a decade. I think at the beginning of, like, when I add someone to my team, it's really about, I'm big on trust and responsibility and loyalty. You know what I'm saying? And so
everybody's coming to do the job, do it at 100.
Yeah. And it's like even if I found someone that could do the work better or whatever, I'm always like, but I want to give opportunities to people who, you know what I'm saying, take risks and are good people with good intentions and have a bigger vision. So, man, I've got a great engineers that I work with, graphic designers,
the whole 9. You've got merch people, and it takes a large group. I mean, not large, but it takes people. It takes you realizing you can't do it all yourself.
Yeah, well, I did it for myself for a long time.
I know.
And when I finally started making some bread, it was great to be able to outsource a little bit, because then I can get specialized people to focus on things and do it better than I can. And
put someone who does it and thinks it for a living. Yeah, you don't.
Yep.
You're just patching the boat up to get it to the end of the, without filling up with water and panic.
Yep.
Yeah. So facts. I mean, it took me. I remember even when I had record labels saying, if you want this job, you'll do it for free. Telling me that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Yeah, I did. I mean, my first video I did, the record label video, was Bone, and that was about $180,000. I was crazy. 18 years old, 19, somewhere in there. And it definitely launched me into the music business, on a big level. Because then after that, it was like Cypress Hill, Exhibit, it was like some big acts, and it was a balancing act, to kind of learn the business. And I definitely believe I went the wrong way in baseball. I had a priest told me this, because I was having a midlife crisis somewhere in the business. He's like, so many young artists like yourself, when they hit success, they hit the ball, right, in figurative baseball terms, but they run. You have your terms of like home plate, and then you have your first base would be like you or your family, and then up in second base you have like your friends, and third base is your career, and home plate is you.
Okay.
Right. So you hit the ball and you go straight to third. Right. That's what you did. You're having success. You're getting your flowers. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
19, 18. You're hitting third. Yeah. All right. Go around to second. You got your friends. They're all there. Everybody loves you. Yeah. Right. Well, as you round second, you're realizing you're not going to win. You will lose. You're going to lose. And you start to realize that when you get to your family. Because you're like, it's all wrong. So you have to go back, relearn yourself, and start all over again.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
Yeah,
And
me too.
This man told me that in 5 minutes, this priest and pastor. And I was like, makes perfect sense. I mean, of course, you can fill in the emotional cracks on all these bases and the years spent and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I say that because mental health is a big thing for me. I struggle with no sense of depression at all. I'm not in any way regretting anything behind me. I'm loving all that. My world is the fear of the unknown in front of me, because everything is so different, and I never know one day from the next. I feel like every time that I go to work, I have to hit a grand slam, to keep relevant or to keep in the business. So to me, that's one of the topics I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
Do you play in? I mean, because it is a struggle that we deal with in this business. It's all go and then all of a sudden nothing.
Yeah.
It's crickets. But it's also you're living in this head of yours to drive on, to keep pushing forward. I got that $1,000 check. I want $2,000 check, and then you get back down to $5. You get hit down. But it's the years of going through that your clock gets ticked off. Something's off. Because I don't recognize who I am. I feel like I've gone through like 4 different me's in this career. How do you play in that world? I mean, it's something I like to talk about.
Yeah,
it's not all creative. It's what we deal with off of when the lights are off, and
Yeah. I think that you have to everybody has to have something at the top of their priority stack. If you want to use, everybody has to worship something. If you want to talk about it that way, it's like what are you setting as the most sacred thing in your life? For a long time, it was career for me. And when it was career, my worth and my value was attached to how successful I was or was becoming. And I would get into these major ruts where my career would be stagnant and I can't figure out what to do next. And it would completely shift my perception of everything else in my life for, the 3-4 months until I started gaining some momentum and getting out of that headspace. And yeah, that's not, I don't think that's super healthy. I think where it started to change for me is like there was one moment that kind of clicked. Was I had been full-time. I left my marketing job. I was full-time music finally. And I was doing it for about 6-7 months. And I just kind of realized I am so focused on the data, so focused on release schedules. I got to finish this. I got to have these meetings. I got to do these things, that I started to lose the passion for making music. It started to be work. And I realized if I just wanted, if money was the goal, I could have done something that made me money like a long time ago. If I lose the passion for art, I lost the game. Because I wasn't just trying to make music for a living. I was trying to make music. You know what I mean? And if the make music part goes away and it's just money, then I actually spent 8 years making no money for nothing.
And you were listening to the noise. The noise got in there.
Yeah. So when that changed, it was like a burden was lifted off of me, and I just was protecting my passion for art. But I think that develops even more because in terms of the real life stuff, it's like when you start to focus on diminishing your own ego, right? And when I say ego, I mean like how much of the main character you are in your life. And as you develop in reducing that and starting to view your life in terms of service to others and how you're embedded in roles and responsibilities. I'm a rapper, I'm an artist, whatever. That is for sure part of my identity, but I'm a husband.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Father.
Soon to be a father. And it's like these are things that require attention at a deep level as well. And you have to figure those questions out of like, how do I be the best husband I can be? How do I be the best father I can be? What are dimensions by which I can work on those things as well, because those are now at the top of the stack. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And so I think if you aim at the highest good, you know what I'm saying? I think everything kind of falls into place. And I think that's where religion tends to hit it the nail on the head, is that if you aim at the highest,
For sure.
like everything kind of gets aligned around that. And if your identity is based on something beyond yourself, then the mundane little things that happen to you or your career or how you're positioned, those things kind of dissolve.
And it was chaos, too.
Yeah.
It's chaos.
It dissolves, and it just becomes like your life can then just become childlike in that way. It becomes a state of play because you're not bogged down by all the noises like you were talking
Absolutely.
about. So.
Is there any kind of like advice you would give the younger you what's one thing you would tell you now that you've learned it? Not learned it. I mean, you're still learning. I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah.
But, you've gone through some ups and some downs and some ways and some turns. My younger self, I could talk about this for days, but it would be persistence. Stay in the game.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
That to me is belief in staying in the game. I mean, I really, truly believed that I would be doing, honestly, exactly what I've already done in my life.
Hey, same,
and what
man.
I'm still doing. And what got me there was the two of those things. I just never quit. Just kept loving and doing and going. And whether, those are my two big words I like to tell people. Like, those are mine.
Yeah, I wonder what I would tell myself. It's kind of cliche, but like there was, the things that I went through made me who I am today. Sure. I don't think you get to skip those steps. You like dealing with struggle, like on the other side of challenge and struggle is growth, and it's like a necessary thing. Like, and you see that model with everything. If you're trying to work out, like, I mean, in order to grow your muscles and become healthier, you have to tear your muscles.
Yeah. Over and over and over again.
Yeah, consistently for a long period of time.
Yes.
And also not eat all the most delicious foods and not
sacrifice.
So it's sacrifice in the short term for the long term. So all that to say, I don't know if I even would have been open to hearing the advice. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? I might have, I used to be a lot more egotistical or a lot more, I was Denzel in the movie. You know what I mean?
Cool,
and so
so
now
you know that.
Yeah.
Is that where Egos has come? Your song Egos comes from?
That's actually before like some of the the development's been happening over time, but that that didn't have as much depth as the new music. I think I've kind of figured out how to view myself in the world, or at least getting a clearer picture. Sure. Of that, and it has expanded my world a lot. It's no longer just me and my perception and how people perceive me and this and that. It becomes like, how am I of service to the ones around me? How can I help other people grow? And the more I lean into that, the happier I am.
That's great. That's a good segue into. I want to talk about back-to-back singles. Let's talk about art, music, and your music. Let's talk about it. Which one would you like to talk about first?
Oh, the two songs from Ultra Marathon.
Yeah, Ultra
so
Marathon.
we have "Don't Feed the Ostrich" and "Hug Onto Your Gold" are the two records that I've released. I'm releasing this entire album single by single.
Okay,
and that is playing the game of the algorithm a little bit.
Fine, but you also have the visual backbone to support that in a way, right? I mean, you can. Because don't you have to release music with kind of visuals now? I mean,
you want to maximize your opportunity to be seen.
I had to say that because someone would be like, "Well, he was talking about music." I'm like, hold on, I'm a little further than that.
Yep.
You can't really release it until you have like some music, some visuals, aesthetic with it.
Yeah, that's true.
You've got that covered. So, all right, cool.
So
have you already been shooting and plotting and planning?
We have a lot of videos in the vault, and we're constantly working on the visual stuff for all of these different singles. But we have treatments for basically every single on the project for how we want treatments for short form too.
Okay.
So when we're trying,
Are you particularly stoked on one of anything that we can maybe leak on some clips, you know?
We might be able to leak a clip, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, so next song is Dark Night of the Soul, and probably some of our favorite visuals we've done with that. We had a good amount of extras and some choreography and things like that I think kind of elevate the sound. But yeah, man, so the 2 singles that are out, Don't Feed the Ostrich and Hug Onto Your Gold. Don't Feed the Ostrich is very...
Love the title.
Yeah. Yeah, very just stream of consciousness. I sat down and I just wrote the whole song from beginning to end. So that wasn't one where I did the mumbles. I heard a beat and I felt like I needed to get things off my chest, and I just rapped for 4 minutes. And yeah, so sometimes songs happen like that, you know, and that's a bit of therapy for me in that way.
That's cool.
And then Hug Onto Your Gold is a bit more of like a traditional song structure with a hook and stuff. And that song's about the love of money and kind of facetiously poking fun at the idea of you can't take your money with you, so spend it now. Which is again on the ego front. It's like it's like if your view is localized to yourself, then that's what you believe. But if you're like, oh well, like how can I utilize this money to further my family or further these things? And so yeah, I tell some stories about different people in my life who, in the verses, who like have encountered roadblocks because of love of money. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's packaged in a really pretty pop song. You know what I'm saying? so that's how we make it happen.
That's cool. So, do you have is there any one visual over that you've even done that you're particularly proud of like visually? Now we talked about music, the sound, but any music or music video, any piece that you particularly like that was fun to shoot, or what was the one that was standing on the car? I thought that was really dope. I love that.
Oh, Something to Say?
Yeah, Something to Say.
Yeah, those were fun. I would say that
Action was a really rad video. I love that.
Action was fun.
Yeah, you skateboarding?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, I got it a little bit. I'm getting older. The knees hurt, you know what I'm saying? But, man, we've had... You know, we've been working on music videos for a long time. We've shifted more to the short form. I do have all kinds of things I'm excited about. There's a couple that really stick out to me. There's a music video I have for a song called Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, we did we had all these different characters. We had Johnny Appleseed, John Henry, like all these depictions of these different characters in this music video. It was kind of fun. We built some practical effects. Like we physically made a fake hay bale to look like it was with wire, but we put hay around it to look like it was a giant hay bale, and I like lifted it over my head. That's and awesome. So we were getting experimental, so that was fun. And another music video we have called By Myself was another turning point, because this was David and I living together in the same apartment complex in downtown Nashville, and this was the least structured music video we had. We had an idea of where we wanted to go with it, but we're like, yo, let's just like, whenever we feel like going out and shooting some stuff in the city, let's go capture some cool images, and we'll put this music video together over time without putting any stress on it. And that was actually, it just became fun.
Keep adding it up.
Yeah, it just became fun.
That's
exactly.
Great.
And so then when we put it out, like we were like, oh, like this has a big scale, because we were able to.
You know, one of the things that we should chat about is what you said before we got on before we get the cameras turned on.
Okay.
And that was like, you know, taking like I call it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, you know, and you were like, well, we're basically taking.
And when you say tiers, you're talking about budget,
quality, importance, quality, attention to, you know, more whistleblowers, you know, more of a committee.
Okay. Yeah.
Down the thing, right? And as your big music videos and your big album covers and all that stuff, but you were saying that and I'm in agreement with you that it's not sustainable. Let's take those budgets and bring it down into where the eyeballs are, and that's social media. So we'll take whatever budget we have to go produce a music video, whether it's always different for every artist, but it doesn't matter. It's still a tier 1. I don't care if you're spending $15,000 on a music video. That is your tier 1.
Yeah.
Because then how much you spend your socials? Oh, we're spending $250.
Yeah.
Okay. Take your 15, bring it down your socials, which is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually have a video package for that. It's a short form solution for music video budgets. And we sort of break down a package for artists that have everything they would need to world build around a single. And so the higher packages include there's performance videos associated with it, but there's also lyric breakdown videos, behind the scenes, like different things like that would be useful for a rollout on the content front. And on a single by single basis, we can kind of build that experience instead of just being one music video, which has multiple scenes. You know, we extrapolate that to, all right, let's get 12 high quality short form vertical and some commentary behind it. And yeah, we've done that for Dear Silas. We've done that for my stuff. We've done that for Lecrae. And so
I feel like that's a sign of the times, and I do feel like that's more or less where things are heading in a way. You know, if there is a need for the tier 1, certainly you'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it feels like let's put the attention where the eyeballs are, and everybody talks about social media. I mean, that's back to the love-hate.
Yeah. I one of the things that comes to mind too about the social media in terms of the content is that because it's vertical, you kind of lose the landscape.
That's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
I don't shoot vertical. I've never done it. I don't, because when I look at
and
everything,
the frame just becomes the person.
Yes,
you know,
you're like, oh wait, like I could imagine you and what's his name?
David.
You and David rolling up, and David being like, that epic space.
Yes.
Like, cool. You get up there, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm all ready.
Shoot
And it's
it
like
vertical.
You see, like, between here is all you can see. You know,
wow. Yeah. Yeah. So that's something I feel like it is totally been lost. Is the, I mean, you kind of cut nature out of the picture because nature's laid out. You know,
what we see right now. I mean, I see you.
Exactly. It doesn't.
We don't do this.
Exactly.
And, you know, our eyeballs are what, 35 mil, 35 mil, 50, you know, something like that.
Yo, that's so true. I mean, that's why, you know, movies
30.
are, and a lot of times when they shoot with 35, it's like they're it kind of sucks you into it. You're almost perceiving it as if you're experiencing it for real, as from a first person perspective.
Let me tell you something here before we part. Is, you know, you got all these needs for social media. Let's just say, what do you say when now a label gets tricky with their wordage, and though I'm shooting a piece on you, a TRT, total running time of a song from front to back, right? But in the lingo, it's considered a visualizer. It's considered a thingy. But when you put it together and you start taking notes from artists and notes from all the people, it seems to be a music video, right? But it's not under the music video guide. Or it's labeled as something else, but certainly what you've produced is a music video.
Yeah, you're talking about the emergence of visualizers.
Yeah, well, and also how labels are disguising what a music video really is and lumping it under something else and using it as a music video.
Yes. Well, you know, it doesn't require as many resources. Usually, the visualizer is like, you know, a 30-second looped.
So would you say anything? Would you say anything from total running time is a music video then?
I guess it depends on how you define music video.
Exactly.
Because I mean,
now it's blurred is what I'm saying. The whole point.
But I think they call it something different because when it's an official music video, there is an expectation of quality and scale.
I hope.
But the visualizer is a way to kind of lower the expectation. It's kind of like a mixtape.
Yeah.
Like a mixtape is like, you're not. This is I just wanted to get some bars off over some other people's beats.
It's cool.
This isn't the
mastered.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just giving you this, but it's because I wanted to just create, and I'm not putting too much pressure on it. It's like a visualizer kind of sets that tone as well for what to expect.
I feel like so often, man, I'm like having to like struggle with like art and commerce. You know, it's like I have almost everything kind of figured out in the art part of it. You know, I'm going down my road, but man, I get hit, sideswiped constantly from the business side of it. And I don't think that's ever going to change. You know?
Yeah. I think it's helpful. Like the way I am trying to approach it is just building assets, building intellectual property. So with music, it's if I can produce and release music and I have percentage points on the master and publishing on all of these. Those are little, I mean, it's literally property. You know what I mean? It's intellectual property.
Yeah.
And so the more I increase that, the more I increase the floor of my income, and it's more predictable. Because when you get the royalties to a certain point, like it kind of affords you that freedom, and you don't have to trade your time for money.
Are you also talking about like brand partnerships, or just with how are you what money are you referring to?
I'm referring to like passive income from the owning of intellectual property.
Yeah, okay.
So publishing and master royalties. And there's other versions of that as well. But like if you are a person if you're a producer and you just sell beats for upfront money, that's more like traditional commerce, where I'm going to sell you the exclusive rights to the beat. I'm not going to own anything of this. I'm going to sell it to you for $500.
Okay.
I have to sell. I have to be in sale mode. You know what I'm saying? I got to sell for this. If I have relationships and I can produce for people for back end money, I don't get the money up front, but it grows the floor of income I make a month without having to do anything else. And so then it kind of takes the pressure off of having to sell this. I can just create with my friends and just make sure the business is right on the back end, and then just the floor grows. And I also, like, as an artist, I want to be tied to the success of the art. I'm willing to take the risk. Mm-hmm. If maybe I could take $500 for a beat and maybe it goes nowhere, and I actually came out better for having taken the 500 versus something else. But I'd rather have skin in the game, because if it blows up, I want
you're playing a long term. You're always you're kind of putting your money where your mouth is. You're putting your art, saying this is of value. I don't need, for the long term rather than this check.
Yeah, and the whole reason I brought that up is just to say that when you have a certain floor of residual income coming in, that's where the commerce, your art can detach from the commerce, because you have a stipend, and then you can kind of just maneuver how you want to maneuver
and create how you want, not feel like the wolves are out the door.
Yeah,
which as artists, that's I think the worst feeling ever, knowing that like it's been a slow few months.
Yep.
There's nothing in the pipeline.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to go on aggro mode.
Hit
the streets. I know nothing else but this since 18 years old. So it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing something right. I'm just kind of doing it.
Hey, but maybe this podcast will pop off to where you only have to shoot photos when you feel
that's true,
like compelled to, or you know what I mean? You're like, I get to do this. And you don't have to take a wedding gig or this or that if it's like not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're trying to get to the same place, man. You got this podcast. I hope this podcast goes crazy.
Thank you.
So you can have that.
I since having the podcast, artists friends of mine have been like, so how does it feel? I'm like, what? To be like one of us, to deal with all the struggles of like, hey, you got to post clips. Hey, can you do this? Like, oh my God. Oh man. Yeah. You do have to promote and get it out. And
that's true.
When you don't feel like it, say something. You know what I mean? I get it, man. Jeez, Nate, thank you so much for
dude. Thank you for having me, man.
I can't wait to hear the new music, and I want to see the new visuals too.
Yeah, I'll send you a private link,
please,
for sure.
And maybe we can use them on a clip or two.
Yeah, we can definitely make it happen. All right, brother. Thank you so much, man. Peace.